Behind the scenes, this supposedly proud publishing institution was actually a criminal enterprise.
So in overview, phone hacking had infiltrated the senior levels at the Sunday Mirror. Tina Weaver was editor of the Sunday Mirror newspaper for 11 years. Front of house, she was a very well-respected and powerful Fleet Street editor. But behind the scenes, she ran her very own phone hacking operation. And in order to do this, she recruited a reporter called Dan Evans.
So I was a jobbing journalist on the Sunday Mirror with a big accent on undercover work, investigations, things like this. And then they gave me my staff job, and I no longer was a sort of a freelancer. On the outside, I was one of their inner circle of, trusted employees. It was only really once they'd given me a staff job that I began to kind of understand the true way that the Sunday Mirror and wider Fleet Street operated. And within probably like 8, maybe 12 weeks of me getting my job, my line manager tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Would you mind coming into the office, please?" And I thought, gosh, I might be in trouble. What have I done? And he sat me down. He said, "Look, you've been selected for a special task." And he proceeded to show me, using a landline telephone, in the deputy editor's glass office in the corner of the 22nd floor of One Canada Square, which is the Sunday Mirror's offices, and he showed me how to access somebody's voicemails. The line manager said, "This is we've selected you for this job, and for the foreseeable future, you're going to break into people's voicemails, and you're going to get the information in there, and you're going to feed it back to us, and we're going to use it to for stories to go in our newspaper." And these became the basis for a string of scoops that went on the front page of the Sunday Mirror.
Dan Evans went on to be the key player in Tina Weaver's phone hacking operation. By his own account, he was a prolific phone hacker. He would come in and spend several hours a day hacking phones. At one point, he had 800 names of victims on his databases.
Whenever they wanted me to hack a telephone, they would just send me a phone number, maybe a phone number and a date of birth, and just that information in and of itself would be enough for me to understand it as an instruction to hack that phone. From the moment that I became aware of phone hacking to when I left, I would say, and this is off the top of my head, maybe 40% of the front page stories came from phone hacking or something similar to this. I was told it was really important that we covered our tracks. The idea was that I wasn't to leave any kind of a footprint that might get the newspaper into trouble. So for this reason, we weren't allowed to send emails about phone hacking to each other, or at least nothing that really kind of expressed what we were up to too cleanly. The very fact that I was being told to cover my tracks really speaks to an ongoing conspiracy to conceal and destroy evidence. The truth is, you don't cover things up if you're proud of them. You don't hide things which are ethical. You don't hide things which are not illegal. The reality is that this was literally run as a criminal enterprise, and yet its public face was of, public defender, voice of, left-wing Britain, and a really genuinely proud publishing institution.
So Dan Evans became a key witness in the Gulati trial, and during this trial he told the court how Tina Weaver had instructed him to hack phones.
What I didn't realise when Tina Weaver asked me to show me Gulati's phone, was that the name Gulati would end up going down in legal history along with my own. So while I was in my initial sort of training meeting, being shown and taught how to hack phones, there's a knock on the door, and Tina Weaver pops her head around the door and comes in and says, "Hi, how are you getting on? I can see that Dan's accepted his mission. And I realised at this point that Tina was completely not so much just across all this, but directing what was going on.